Hello, everyone. We are back. We are on to episode 10. We've made it to double digits of Katawa Shoujo. Also, if you couldn't tell, I worked on my hotkeys for OBS, so now I can mute my mic and unmute my mic just like that. And I can mute the desktop audio and unmute the desktop audio. Simple as that. I can switch the scenes. Starting. Now. Ending. And then my break scene. Wonderful, isn't it? Wait, did I just mess up my desktop audio? God damn it. Why did my desktop audio just vanish for this capture? Oh no, my hubris has come to strike me down. Because I can't hear it in my ears now either. My hubris has struck me down once again. I need to figure out how to get this back. Damn it. Yeah, what the hell? How did I do that? How did that happen? Yeah, okay, so my Windows still works, but I think I have to restart the game. I have to close and restart the game. Oh, we're off to an amazing start here, folks. You get to see the nice screen, though. And this. Four Leaf Studios, yes, they're amazing. I love them. There we go, now it's back. Fantastic. So yeah, I set up hotkeys and everything, so now I feel like my mic's actually a little bit loud, so let me touch that down just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so, like I've said before, today we will be starting Emmy's route. This will be completely different from the two routes we've seen before, because Emmy is a completely different character. I'm excited about that if you guys are, so yeah, if we can actually go recap as well. I didn't recap this at the end of the last stream because my fucking internet died on me, but we have completed the jukebox. We have every song. I think Friendship was the last song we needed. So yeah, we've got one thing 100%ed, which is fun. In the gallery, you can see we have all of Lily's CGs, 8. Those we don't worry about because those are the NSFW ones. And then all of these, including the very last one. So, what better way to start? And also we have, let's see how many objects we have left to see. So we've seen a lot of them. Only 6 object CGs left to see. And then, of course, Lily's. Every scene. Alright, I will stop delaying. Without further ado, we will start Emmy's route. What to do for Emmy's path? You got to ignore everyone and read your book. I do what I always do when I don't know what to do. Like now. I've already started on one of the books I borrowed yesterday, and took it with me to school to fill the empty moments between classes. I find the page that I creased a corner of to mark the spot I left yesterday night, and pick off from there. Misha and Shizune are still arguing heatedly, probably about restaurants still. If I join them, I'd just get caught up in that, or worse, get grilled about joining the student council. Misha isn't speaking aloud, since there is nobody who'd need to hear what they are talking about. But why does she tend to sign things even when Shizune doesn't need to understand what's being said? Or even more strangely, when Shizune is not around at all. What an odd conflict of habits. I find it hard to focus on the book, and besides, the lunch break beckons me to leave the dullness of the classroom. I do so, heading down for the cafeteria. Misha and Shizune, having come to a conclusion of one kind or another, follow in my wake, though still talking in their animated fashion. Just around the corner of the hallway, something hits me in the chest with the force of a runaway train. Ouch. There she is. There he is. Just terrible cool cat jokes. Opening my eyes, I see a pair of saucer-like green eyes looking up at me. They belong to the perpetrator, a short girl who bumped into me and has now fallen down onto the hallway floor. She wears a PE uniform and a very worried frown. The former strikes me as a rather strange thing to have on during a lunch break. More striking than that, though, is that she doesn't have legs. Or she does, but they are not flesh and bone. Her pale and very much flesh and bone thighs end in shins and feet made of some black metallic or plastic-like material. They look disturbingly artificial and unnatural. It almost makes me forget that my chest is hurting. The girl winces a little, rubs her nose, and jumps up.
Aw, man. Hey, are you alright? I'm sorry about that, really. I wasn't looking where I was going, and you just came out of nowhere. Sorry.
She's looking really apologetic in the hurt puppy way of looking apologetic. I quickly forget about being angry or anything, since hurt puppies are my weak spot. It's okay, don't worry about it. Ouch. I say that, but there's a stinging pain growing in my chest, and know that this is about the biggest possible danger for my condition. Don't overexert yourself, don't forget your medication, and most of all, don't get hit in the chest. I try to rub my solar plexus to chase the pain away, holding my breath in an attempt to hear my heartbeat. It seems normal.
Hey, should I get a nurse?
The worried, high-pitched voice of the girl snaps me out of it. I stare at her for a few seconds, dumbfounded, until I realize that I probably looked worse off than I really was, doubled over myself and looking all tense. Damn, I'm overly worried about my heart. No need, I'm fine. Managing to say something in response, I pull myself upright, feeling my sore ribs one last time, and take a deep breath. She just knocked the wind out of me. Big time. But it's nothing more than that.
You sure you're okay? I hit you pretty hard.
It's okay. I said I was fine, and nothing's broken. No harm done.
That's good.
I feel a hand on my shoulder at the same time the girl's eyes widen in horror.
You skipped it,
I feel a hand on my shoulder at the same time the girl's eyes widen in horror, and whatever she was saying gets interrupted by a very horrified
Eep!
I don't have time to look behind me because Shizune is already shoving me aside and stomping over to the girl, signing furiously at her.
Miss Ibarazaki, I saw that. Running in the hallways is strictly forbidden.
Misha translates right on Shizune's tail, but her voice is girlishly playful, not full of the divine fury Shizune's arm movements would seem to call for.
Sorry, I was just going to get some stuff, and I was in kind of a hurry. You've been told this 1,000 times before. Your reckless behavior endangers other students, and even worse, it's explicitly against the school regulations.
The girl blushes and starts to fidget nervously like a little child caught misbehaving. It's so cute I find myself smiling.
I know that. I was just... Make sure that this will not happen again. Although I'm sure telling you this is futile and only causes me further headache when you choose to ignore the regulations. Got that, Emmy?
The small girl sticks her tongue out in response.
Ah! I gotta go! Teacher will have my head. I promised I'd help with printouts, but I went running instead. Sorry, but I've got to change and everything.
Before Misha, Shizune, or I can say anything, she's already bolted from where she was a second ago, almost halfway towards the stairwell. Shizune looks like she's about to go nuclear on the spot, so I smile at her in a vain attempt to calm her down.
Are you okay, Hichan? That Ibarazaki girl is always like that, causing trouble to others.
You know, I'm pretty certain Shizune wouldn't call me Hichan.
Never mind.
Yeah, anyway, I'm okay. Just got the wind knocked out of me.
That's great, Hichan.
I wouldn't call that great, but I let it slide this one time.
We have to run now. There's an important student council meeting regarding the festival, and we finally decided where to eat. Too bad you can't join in, but this lunch meeting is only for council members. We can take you there some other time. Oh, but that'd be like a date, wouldn't it? Wahahaha. The girls leave for downstairs. I didn't manage to get far from the third floor hallway before all this commotion struck. Literally. I should get going as well. The lunch and the afternoon class pass uneventfully. I read most of the book I had started yesterday, and eat some of the mostly inedible offerings of the cafeteria. The class is tiresome. The teacher seems like an okay person, despite the weird first impression I got.
I should not be this tired. I mean, I had to wake up early, but I also took a nap in the middle of Val's stream. And the material is relatively interesting. However, the way he teaches is really bizarre, as if he expects that everyone is a natural genius. When the final bell sounds, I realize that there's a lot of time still left in the day. There's still a lot of time left in the day, and I'm left wondering what to do. It's odd. At the hospital I had 24 hours a day of free time, but here filling the considerably shorter hours feels difficult. Everyone else leaves, and I'm left alone with the teacher. Mutoi is examining the assignment sheets we were working on earlier, marking them with a red ball pen. Raising his eyes from his papers briefly, he notices me and furrows his brow. What is it, Nikai? I jump at him addressing me, but I guess it's natural to spark some conversation since there is nobody else around. So we've seen this scene before. But it has been a little while, so part of me wants to just read through it again. And anyway, it's a fun scene. I get to practice my Ren voice. Nothing. Thinking about what I do after school. The teacher slowly puts the cap on the pen he's holding and arranges his papers into a stack, clacking it against the desk twice. He seems very methodical, and for a brief moment I'm reminded of Shizune. But the teacher is much more unhurried and relaxed, much more routined. You have no plans? No. I considered joining a club, but don't know what kind of club would interest me. Go observe a meeting of someone else's club. Might pique your interest. I guess. But I don't know how to continue from there. Mutoi looks at me in a way that makes me quickly want to take the words back to avoid a conversation. But I can't, so I have to forge ahead. I just don't know how to deal with people. I mean the other students. I'm talking to people and everything, so it's not that I'd be isolated or anything. Talking to people and everything, so it's not like I'd be isolated or anything. I just don't know what to think about the disabilities. It's like it feels that I'm being impolite if I pay attention to them, and it's weird to ignore them. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. The teacher scratches his cheek absent-mindedly, looking very unresponsive. These things are only an issue if you make them one. You can talk normally with someone, even if they are blind or something. Try to look behind the superficial. There's not a single student here who isn't just a normal kid behind whatever they might seem at first glance. He says the same thing as Yuko did. I know they're right, but it's hard. How can you not consider, for example, Shizune's deafness, when the only way to communicate with her is to talk through Misha? Or Hanako. It's not like you can ignore her face. But I'm interrupted by the door of the classroom suddenly slamming open. Teacher! Misha crashes in, hand straight in an enthusiastic greeting, her voice loud and lively enough to wake the dead from their graves. She starts towards the teacher's desk with her bouncing step, hands energetically swinging with the rhythm. Mutoi, visibly dismayed at the interruption, and Misha in general, slumps in his chair. Mikado. Misha stops in her tracks and looks around cluelessly, as if she's sensing from his tone that something's wrong, but has no idea what. Yes? We have talked about volume control before. Yes? But she doesn't lower her voice at all, and the teacher just rubs his eyes. So, what is it? We need help. We're running out of supplies for the festival stands. This is a distress. She waves a pink slip of paper she's holding around. So,
Go get more supplies from the art room. What's the problem with that?
Plywood! Plywood is always the problem. Last time we wanted more, there was only a little, but that time we just took it all and went with that. Now there's like none left there, so you know where there is some?
I don't understand. How would I know?
The president, thought that a teacher would know if there was plywood. Was she wrong?
Mutoi looks like he's in great pain, frowning with his entire essence, and Misha doesn't get it at all. Looking at the two of them communicate is terrible, like looking at a man being tortured by drilling his skull open while blasting pop music at full volume at the same time. I'm afraid I have no idea if there is any plywood in the school, let alone where it would be if there was any.
Aw, what should I do?
Perhaps try to find Mr. Nomiya? I'm quite sure he would know where to find everything you need. You'd have to pry them from his cold, dead hands, but that's a different matter.
I don't have time. We're so busy. She holds her head with both of her hands, looking as despairing as it's possible for a person like her. Without even noticing, she crumples the note she's holding against her hair. I shouldn't even be fetching these things. There's so much to do and we're falling behind the schedule.
Mutoi looks at her gravely, and then suddenly smiles. Smiling doesn't really fit his face. I think it'd be better if he didn't. I wonder if you could get some temporary help. He switches to staring at me focusedly, with a hard expression, as if trying to say, go make some friends. I guess I can give you a hand.
You can? Thanks, Hee-chan. You really are nice.
She pauses, does a double take, and then points at me with her finger, yelping ah, and looking very puzzled.
Come to think of it, what's Hee-chan doing here? Class is over, you should be having fun.
We just had a little chat.
Oh no, it's not detention, is it? Are you in trouble, Hee-chan?
No, I'm not.
Is Hee-chan in trouble, teacher?
No, he's not. Mutoi sighs deeply, and I feel that I have to help Misha to get her off the teacher's back. So, what do you need?
Here's a list. I can try to find the plywood from somewhere if there's none in the art room.
She offers me the note she's holding. I take it, hesitating a bit. I said I'd help you. This has no implication on whether I'm joining the council or not.
Aww. Still, thanks, Hee-chan. Try to be quick. We're in a stall building streak now. We must hurry, hurry, hurry.
She bounces out of the classroom, leaving me and the teacher looking at each other with something that feels like a silent agreement. Well, there you have it, Nakai. You have something to do now.
Please don't sound so smug.
Looking at the list with a number of items ranging from paint to plywood, all written with small, neat handwriting that is undoubtedly Shizune's, I heave a sigh. I'll be going then. Waving the long list limply at the teacher, I exit to the hallway. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side, and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor still, with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right place? Desks and chairs are all around the room, a thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corners, so at least this looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room. Anybody home? Something catches my eye, and I stop mid-sentence. Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Sitting on a desk is a short-haired girl, curiously wearing a boy's uniform, with a fork between her toes, a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence here is what takes me aback even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in a corner very still, but I still somehow took her as part of the furnishing or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open. Suddenly remember I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned into silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. Hello. The girl stuffs the forkful in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello. I was told to pick up some supplies from here? For some festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there would be someone here. There isn't. That's why I came here, too. She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here, then? She raised her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false. You are pretty observant. I guess it does. But who are you? This girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I'm Nakai, Hiseo Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday. I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin. Rin Tezuka. I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice. Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking hands or not. It kind of bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. While I'm trying to figure out what is appropriate and what this girl is, she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food. Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back. Go right ahead. But lunch? School's already over for the day. What word would you use then? There is no word for a meal you eat after lunch, but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say. I don't think you're supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with. But I'm hungry now, and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious. I think I'm nailing this Rin voice. This is the happiest I've been with my Rin voice. With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai, what brings you to this place? Like I said, I was told to look for these things? No, the school. From outside, you look fine. Is your problem inside? I come to a full stop, opening my mouth but not getting a word out. I can guess. I'm good at guessing. Better than most people. Rin cuts me off before I can answer her question, or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's only because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is a part of the social code here, as the teacher said. I wonder if the people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side. I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants. This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widened in revelation and astonishment. So I was right. There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there? Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing I can think of. No, nothing like that. I have a heart problem. Arrhythmia. I said it. More like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed. How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous. What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down. I forgive you. Just, I collect people, and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great.
collect people? People with different problems. Huh. So you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them? Pretty much. I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch, and the conversation dies away. But I keep thinking about what was said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else. Or didn't need to know about it, like every other student here so far. Should I have told it as a natural part of introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hiseo. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us. What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just has an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange, and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms makes her look very thin, almost scrawny. She's not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes, which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. The distance and the shadows make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight could discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me a bit uncomfortable at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone and this late? Or do you get the occasional visitor? Visitors. Maybe you are my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof, if she's not horsing around. Horsing? She likes to do sports. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bits of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double-check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything, except plywood. So I think I have all the things now. That's very nice for you. But don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you're going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping? I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. We'll get you around, Tezuka. You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much. I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hiseo. Then you are. Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere. See you later, Hiseo. There's something like a tiny smile there in her face. Maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, what an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled, sing-song voice. I heard that. What did she hear? I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow, she'd gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I pushed that thought aside. Alright, I'm gonna go get actual water instead of drinking lemonade. I'll be back. So, I was thinking about it as I was getting water. Does anyone else So I saw this thing on Twitter about it was for people doing voice acting and stuff like this. Don't drink cold water. Drink warm water. It'll help your vocal cords. And I had never thought of that before. But then, the very next day, I was watching Callie and Melky Queen do their karaoke, and I think it was Melky brought up I always drink warm water when I'm in the middle of singing, and I think Callie had the exact same reaction I did when I first saw the post. She was like, I'd never heard of that before. So it's an interesting thing, but I guess it makes sense. Keeps your vocal cords warm, I suppose. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited. No, wait. More importantly, who is in there? There's no club meetings today. She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here? You took so long that we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan. She wags her finger at me scoldingly. I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy. Oh, sorry. I got the things here. I was just gonna bring them. I think you were up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who was in there with you, I wonder? Misha signs something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes away past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders. From suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me, too, as if it was somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Hello. Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face. Hello. Miss Tezuka, what do you think you were doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school property for such disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune and Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulders, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs. Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. Anyway, how's your project going? Will it be done for the festival? Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her. I keep wondering about that myself, too. And we'll think about it harder. Misha shines her reply to Shizune. Her face turns into an unsatisfied frown. Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it. Rin nods assertively. We'll think about it more seriously. Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't, not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude. It's true, though. I must finish my project before the weekend. There will be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what project she has and
are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. Heavy. Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it? Away. And with that, she takes off to the hallway, me and the paint can following, since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now, with Shizune and Misha gone, so we too leave towards the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps, I have to change the can from one hand to another because the thin handle cuts into my palms. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Ren strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching. Or maybe I'm walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Ah, Mr. Nakai, what a happy coincidence! Tezuka too, of course. He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me because obviously it's me who he had business with. There is something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages, or even changing to another kind of medication. So we'll do a few tests regularly, but what I'd want for you is to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything. And come see me if something happens. Alright. So, how are you? Everything fine? I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here, my parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, and not so much for a school. Except this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great! Also, one other thing. My sources tell me you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you've taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me? Not as such. I just happen to know a few people. But that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can up and down a few times like some sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms painfully. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second and then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a second? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which she didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When I told you to exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you are still in your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise me to be more serious about this from now on? You'll never, ever guess what the answer's going to be here. Yeah. Yeah, I promise. Definitely. He studies me for a moment, then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want to jog a bit. Consultation? See you around.
He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who's been waiting, idly leaning against the hallway wall and staring at the pale lighting fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medications for your heart thingy? Were you listening? Comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out on her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. I don't know her. It's not her business. The nurse seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality, too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty, but Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. I don't know why this is so hard for me. It feels like there's some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further, nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all this. At the hospital it was easy, but I still haven't sorted my feelings about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building, and Rin leads us onwards towards the dorm. We stop at the small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on slightly elevated ground, with a wall and few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. The entire wall, made of the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of a painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the grey plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands. I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground beside the wall. See, the left side is barely off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping with the negative spaces and base surfaces whenever, which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there are lots of people, with hands. The reach is better, and it's faster too. She goes on a tangent of a tangent, waving a little with her arm, or whatever it is there actually is, to demonstrate even though I got the point already. The white cotton of her sleeve flaps around, and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible reminder of the student base's special properties has in the past few days. This girl who doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already, and just keeps blabbering. So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there's something I need to figure out, and then figure that out before it's too late and all hope is lost. Why would the hope be lost? Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time. She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of a statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project? You did this? Yes. Yes. All of it? Yes. Nice, but... I stumble with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into the minefield of political incorrectness. It's okay, you can say it. I probably won't get mad. I blush really hard. I don't really know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels like I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward. Don't you want to ask? How do you paint without hands? See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet. I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do? You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is. But maybe I'm used to it by now. I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was at using her feet to eat, I figure painting might not be a problem either. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject. The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat? Well, paintings tend to be flat. Not like that flat. You know, flat. Like some people are. No substance, no meat where there should be some. I know a few girls who... Okay, I get it. But I couldn't really tell. I'm not that good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms. So I don't really have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it, and looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there. I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it gets too dark. I wanted to get a halogen lamp, like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any. Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. Makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? Not really sure if I can be of any help, though. It's just mixing some paints. You can do that. Probably. Do you have motor control problems? Like, you know, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe? Not that I know of. I get it. Art thingy has nothing to do with that. She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't. Let's do it then. So she sits on an empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between the toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can to the bowl, like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work, every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last milliliter before she's satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best. Add half a splash of green. I crouch down to pick up a can of bright green. The other green. This green. I carefully pour some of the other green paint into the mixing bowl. No, that's almost a whole splash. More white. Is green a good color to add? No idea. You're the artist here. A hint of a smile appears in the corners of her mouth. Do you lack an opinion? No, it's just that I have no idea. It's okay, because I just got an idea. Add more white. With this exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter. That's not good. It has to be like the color when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of life in your dream, but can't remember it. Maybe it's yellow. Despite the impossibility of mixing a color like the change of seasons or any other nonsense that's being imposed on me, I find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Seeing a painting being born on the plastered wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paint crouching down on the paving and just looking at her work. It feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works the details, adding layers of paint on top of other layers of paint, steadily moving her foot across the wall to add new shapes. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on her face is oddly rewarding. Apart from the few words when discussing paint mixes, neither of us says a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthand, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code words for various paints and hues, as if there was some need to conserve words and breath and sound. We stay there late into the evening until it becomes too dark to paint properly. I just remembered, yeah, okay, right here. So yeah, it should now, oh, right there, perfect. Still 3 more. Okay. The sound of an alarm pulls me out of a fitful slumber and into the unpleasant state of wakefulness. I linger under the blanket for a few minutes, gathering energy to rise up while making excuses for why I already haven't. Honestly, I wouldn't mind staying here for all day. School is surprisingly exhausting after a long pause, and the culture shock still has not faded, I think. Still, despite getting an impression that skipping class is easy here, I don't think they're going to let me get away that easily. And the nurse is bound to keep breathing down my neck with the talk of exercising as well. So eventually I do rise up, swallow the morning medications, and put on my old soccer clothing. Thanks to my condition, I was exempted from taking part in gym classes at Yamaku, so I didn't get issued with a gym outfit. I'd order some to cover such a contingency. But wearing my old soccer clothes is kind of nostalgic. I can't use them for that anymore, so maybe they can get a new life this way, a bit like me. After all, if I'm going to start taking care of myself, I can't afford to slack around. I'll start from the basics. Basics which include keeping the rest of my body in shape, along with what little I can do to strengthen my heart. Maybe then I can go back to something approaching a normal life, or at least something where I'm less likely to fall over dead at any minute. I'm surprised to discover that I'm not the only one present at the track. Not just that, but it's a face I've seen before. The prosthetic leg girl who bowled me over in the hallway yesterday is running on the track lithely, like a half-mechanical gazelle. What was her name again? It was a short one, but I can't remember. She seems to be running laps at a somewhat easy lop, her prosthetic legs clacking rhythmically on the hard track surface. I wonder what reason she has for running this early in the morning. Maybe it's something akin to mine, and the nurse is oppressing the poor girl to jog, just like he's oppressing me. I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for my health, and his prompting me to do so. Even with things being like they are, it's only because I wanted to get it out of the way early. The fact that I would be less likely to encounter someone who would witness my pitiful attempts to get in shape was merely a happy accident. I'd leave, but it seems like my former assailant noticed me on her last lap. She waves at me cheerfully and jogs over. "Good morning. Your name is Hiseo, right?" She grins, seemingly pleased that she'd remembered my name. "You may not remember me. Emmy? I knocked you over in the hall yesterday. Missy Barazaki?" She imitates Misha, imitating Shizune, failing to get the same kind of subdued lilt in her high-pitched voice. How could I forget such a blunt introduction? Emmy has the decency to look vaguely apologetic for a moment before giggling. "Yeah, sorry about that. Again." Well, so long as you don't make a habit of it, I suppose I'll be fine. "Great!" Not sure she realized I was joking. So the spy consultant the nurse was talking about, is that actually you? "That's right." Oh. I was expecting someone from the nursing staff, to be honest. "What, are you saying I don't look like I could be a spy?" "No, this is more like a relief. I was afraid he would have someone to watch my every move. Unless you're here to do exactly that." "No, I'm here for my own reasons. The nurse just asked me if I'd seen a messy-haired transfer student who looks like he's kind of lost around the track." "So why are you down here?" Emmy strikes a dramatic pose. "Training." "For what?" "Track." "Ah, I see. You're on the track team, then." Emmy nods enthusiastically. "Yep, I'm one of the better runners, too." And mossed about it, too. "Hey, you should join up. It's good exercise, you know." I think that much activity is probably out of the question for me. I'm not even sure that I really like running all that much. Plus, I'm just not into organized sports, you know? It's true, I never even really got into that much into soccer. I mean, I'd run around with my friends and all, but that was really the only reason I ever played. It wasn't for the glory to be found on the field, that's for sure. Emmy seems to understand my meaning. I see. Not that into the whole organization thing. But now that you're here, I guess we're gonna run together, huh?" "What? Sure, I guess."
Emmy seems pleased. Are you going to warm up? Real men don't warm up. Oh no, you should always warm up. Bad Hiseo. She scolds me enthusiastically, but then smiles and leans closer. I hate warming up too. She laughs suddenly. Heck, and I don't even have to stretch my legs. As to confirm her statement, she bounces up and down a couple of times, giving a passing impression of standing on a pair of springs. Her leg blades seem to be quite elastic. Let's go! So we both take off around the track, and I can immediately see that she wasn't lying about being good at running. Emmy moves fluidly, throwing herself into this run with a sort of wild abandon. I find myself concentrating more on running properly. Hands spread, right? And something about hitting on the balls of your feet rather than the heels. I try to match my stride to Emmy's, but it's pretty difficult. Apparently I'm not very good at it. Maybe Emmy could help me with that sometime. I'm really not feeling up to more than a couple laps a day and slow to a walk pretty quickly. Emmy keeps running and doesn't seem to notice I've stopped until she passes me a second time. She quickly skids to a halt, breathing steadily and conscious to my own somewhat gasping demeanor. Finished already? I hang my head ruefully. Yeah. I'm not in very good shape right now. Emmy nods and then grins at me again. Seems to do a lot of smiling. Well, the important thing is you started, right? Next time you just have to try and hold out longer, and then longer, and longer, and eventually you'll be great. I'll keep that in mind. But I think right now I'm going to go get ready for class. Shouldn't you? Emmy shrugged unconcernedly. Yeah, I've got plenty of time. I noticed that she's not wearing a watch. Are you sure? Another careless shrug. Not really, but I've got to finish my routine. See you later, Hiseo. See ya. I'm not sure whether this morning's experiment was a success or a failure, but I'll admit that I do feel slightly good about getting out there this morning. And like Emmy said, I just need to keep at it in order to get better, right? Practice makes perfect, or something like that. It's nice at least to feel like I've taken some semblance of control over my own health. I'll have to try to keep this up. I head back to the dorms to wash and change into my uniform, trying to resist the urge to take a really long and hot shower. I'm tired from all the running, so I just want to unwind, but I don't want to break my slowly building routine of getting to school before the morning rush. After taking a long shower anyway, I dry myself off and get out of the stall to put on my clothes. Out of nowhere, a shadow appears within the mist, looming and radiating malicious intent. It bursts through the fog. Stop! What are you doing here? What the hell? You scared me. What's your problem? I should be asking you that. I've been looking for you all over the place, man. What do you mean all over the place? I want to ask if he's been looking for me like that, stark naked, but hold my tongue back. I finally realize I'm still naked too, and quickly hold up my shirt in front of me, but Kenji doesn't seem to notice a thing. His glasses are fogged up, but then why doesn't he wipe them off? Is his vision so bad it's like he's perpetually seeing through fog? You know, your room, and... yeah, that's it. Hey, I still had to get up, though. Whatever, it's not important. Can I borrow some money? He puts on an innocent face and looks away, trying very hard to look very casual. It doesn't work. He's as transparent as his window pane-sized glasses. Talking neutrally like this, wearing nothing, feels awkward. Actually, somehow it's even more naked to be it's even more awkward to be naked in front of someone when they can't even see me being naked. To say nothing of the fact that he's naked as well. I try to brush the feeling off with little success. Money? Sure. Awesome. Wait, why do you need it? Can't you just give it to me because I had the goodwill not to run through your pockets while you were in the shower? I could have, but I exercised restraint. And at the end, isn't it the thought that counts? Come on, be a pal. This makes no sense. If it's the thought that counts, I should withhold payment, since his thoughts were so clearly impure, and his intentions are probably even more sinister, since he can't tell me what they are. I say as much to him. I'm offended, man, but if that's your game, then fine. I guess I have no choice. I want to order a pizza, and I already have most of the cost of the pizza. I need your help for the rest. I get some of that pizza too, right? No. Are you serious? Yeah, I would give you some, but you have class. You don't have time to eat a pizza. What about you? I'm not going to class. I have to wait for the pizza and pay the guy, and then eat it. It's not easy. You have to obtain the pizza stealthily. If you don't, everyone will see you, and the pizza, and they will ask for a slice. It's a hard world out there. Everyone wants a piece. Then you're left pizzaless in an unforgiving world. It's happened before, that's how I know. Every day I plan my vengeance, so that when the people who wronged me order a pizza, I will be there. Ever vigilant. Kenji strikes a dramatic pose, completely without irony. But yeah, I only need like 400 yen. Please? You're my only hope. I can't go outside and buy my own pizza, it's too far. I try not to go unless it's absolutely necessary. Let me tell you what happened the last time I went out without carefully planning it out in advance. I was outside. Can't remember what I was doing. Something. Standing? Maybe wondering how I got there. And then, out of nowhere, it happened. Like a flash of lightning, splitting the sky. Like how you split a sandwich into 2 equal pieces to make it more manageable to hold and eat. A bird crapped on my head. It was the second most shocking moment of my life. What was the first? He ignores me and keeps going. I want to grab him and shake him. Is he just trying to keep momentum? I'll go with that, even if it's more likely he just didn't hear me. It was like the openings to some kind of anime show, you know. You know how there's always a part where the main dude is fighting his rival, and they fly at each other and clash swords, and there's like big dramatic colored auras and zoom? It was like that, but with poo. Okay. So yeah, I need some money. Please? Don't leave me hanging, man. I only need like 1,000 yen. I thought it was 400. Okay. What? I'll pay you back, I swear. You better. That's what it means to borrow stuff. I don't know when I'll be able to pay you back. You have 1 week. Ah! Kenji winces and makes a noise like a dying cow. A particularly disturbing fact given that his baton is conducting freely. You're not supposed to be so tight-assed about money between brothers in arms, man. Men have it bad enough as it is. Do you know that male porn stars only make about half of what female porn stars make? That doesn't mean anything unless you're a porn star. So maybe I am a porn star, on the side. Struggling to make ends meet as I fight the feminist agenda. And you can't even spot me your crumbs, you bastard. Nobody understands. Nobody. Wouldn't feminists be against pornography in the first place? This feminist agenda stuff again? This stuff is important. I can see that you don't give a shit, but this is serious here. Feminists are a dangerous enemy. Make no mistake. You take them lightly and you'll wake up in the morning with a knife in your back. Bam! Out of nowhere. How do you wake up in the morning if someone stabbed you in your sleep? Women are terrible at stabbing things. I've read this line 3 times and I can't not laugh at it. Women are terrible at stabbing things. I thought you just said don't take them lightly. Well, I mean don't take them lightly for the big things. Individually they're not a threat. But if it's some kind of war, like a big war, with men on one side and the feminist forces on the other, it would be pretty ugly. And that day will come, when the feminists come out of their central top-secret worldwide feminist headquarters and say, "It's on now, motherfuckers!" You're being ridiculous. There's no big worldwide feminist headquarters building. Where would they even hide that? I mean, it'd have to be massive. You couldn't hide that on Earth. Someone would notice a big fortress with only women in it. Who said it was on Earth? I turn away from Kenji and start practicing frowning faces in a mirror so that I can figure out what kind of frown will best express my emotions. He can't see me from this distance anyway. Which, unfortunately,
means that he just keeps on ranting without any regard to sense or sensibility.
Yeah, there is a war going on. A war not many know about, but it's a great one that will one day boil over and encompass all of the known world. Then we'll have to pick sides. We'll have to make a stand. In fact, it's happening right now. Imagine it. The bloody battlefield. A vicious conflict without end. I almost gave up when I thought the cause was silly. When I grew tired of the bleakness of our fight. When I mistook the time the power went out for a feminist raid and thought the end was near. But then I realized that if I gave up, it would all be over. And I was like, whoa. I knew I had to get serious. Because I am the last sane man in an insane world. It's about duty.
Must be a pretty crappy movement if it all hinges on one naked guy ranting in a bathroom to another naked guy.
So can I have the money?
He's blocking the way out. It's getting cold because I'm still naked, and I want to go to class, so I agreed to spot him the money.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. We should go bowling later on.
Bowling?
Yeah, it's the ultimate sport. There are almost no women bowlers in it either, making it also the manliest sport. Should I wear my pink bowling shirt with matching shoes or the pastel green with flower accents?
There are bowling clothes?
Maybe.
Anyway, you better pay me back.
I can pay you back in stuff, right?
I don't have the time to ask him to elaborate on what that means. I don't know. I have to get to class. You're kind of in the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to hold you up. I have some stuff to do myself. The time has come.
The time for what?
I just like saying that. Okay, now the time has really come.
For what?
I have to use the bathroom. Get out of it.
I was just going to. What does that mean? It's a big bathroom.
So? I have to be alone or I can't go. The pressure.
Okay, what if someone else comes in?
I'll think of something.
I give him my practice frown, and it looks kind of silly reflected in his glasses. He either doesn't notice or doesn't see, anyway, so I get dressed and run back to my room, feeling as though an eternity has passed since I woke up. That is time I will never get back. I'll get him for this somehow. But right now, I have to get to class. I'm the first person in class today, although I think I'm a little too early. Then again, sitting alone here for 20 minutes sure beats having to suffer that time with Kenji. The combination of fatigue, frustration, and boredom starts making me feel very tired. I black out for a second, waking up when my head hits the surface of my desk. Rubbing my forehead, I realize this is as good a reason as any to stay up for now and stop coming to class so early later. Eventually, I hear a tapping noise outside in the hallway, and Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. She's not in this class, so she must have some other business. Maybe she's looking for Hanako. Lily stops at the door, looking hesitant as if she was a vampire who can't come in unless invited. I consider doing so because she looks rather lonesome standing there. She steps in on her own accord, though, after straightening her skirt and shirt collar, as if it was of importance to look prim when entering our classroom. "Excuse me." She calls into the quiet classroom with a probing, delicate voice. I realize the silence might unnerve her because of her blindness, so I break it. "Good morning, Lily." "Hiseo? Oh, good morning. I didn't hear you come in." I wonder if she thinks it's suspicious I didn't say anything to her before. It's likely. If I were to tell too big a lie now, it would sink me. Well, I was already here, just asleep until now. "Oh, have you seen Hanako today by any chance?" "No, she seems to come in only just before the bell rings, or after that. Do you want me to tell her something for you?" "No, it's fine. It's strange, but I think we're the only two people in the school right now. I didn't hear anyone else on my way here." I shouldn't have gotten up so early today, I guess. "You're chastising yourself for doing something that other people should? Punctuality is a good thing. I think so, anyway." "It's a very busy morning today. The festival is coming up soon, and today is the deadline for event registration, budget reports, and any other official paperwork. It could be that everyone is trying to complete the necessary forms at the last minute. Maybe that is why it's so quiet today." Hi, hi! Misha pops into the room with Shizune as if on cue, shouting with a loudness that makes Lily visibly flinch. Hi, Hichan. Hi. Look, it's the class representative. Hello. Lily smiles, probably amused by Misha's or Shizune's use of the word look. Good morning. Of course, you're not the representative of this class, right? Right? I'm not. Lily seems a little more guarded in her answers to Shizune than she was with me the other day. Guess they really don't get along at all. Then I realized that Lily might actually not know Shizune is present, and she's trying to detect whether or not she is, to know who she's talking to. For all she knows, she's talking to Misha, but knowing that she and Shizune are practically inseparable, she might expect Shizune to be the one that actually talks. Damn, how complicated. I decide to help Lily out, for my own peace of mind more than anything else. You're here early, Shizune. You were here even earlier than us. Misha puffs out her cheeks angrily. Why is she getting angry? Does she feel emotions on Shizune's behalf too? It's not that weird, though, that Shizune didn't like my little comment. It's true, I was here earlier than them, so me saying something like that could definitely be misinterpreted as anything. Especially to Shizune, who doesn't have the benefit of hearing tone to gauge intent. I feel like... No, it's fine. It's fine. Before I can start weighing whether or not I should apologize, Shizune has already moved on. Class rep, it's a good thing you're here. We have to talk. The festival is coming up in 3 days, right? Every other class has already handed in their projected budget reports for their events. Even the first years. Except you. Wahahaha! There is still time to hand it in, isn't there? Today! The deadline is today. You're certainly taking your time, aren't you? If I had it my way, I'd have all the necessary paperwork days ago. But someone had to say, the deadline, please extend it. Yes, that was me. Planning something on this scale is not a small task, and a week is too small a time frame to expect a whole class to work out such a complex issue completely. Do you want to know what's harder than distributing the funds for one class event? Handling the same matter for every class in the school, and then some. The one who does that is me. Misha puts her hands on her hips and stands up straight. Wow, she's really getting into the role. Lily doesn't look like she's very amused, though. Hey, Shizune, aren't you being a little too hard on her? There's still a whole day left. Please, Hisao, it's all right. Lily seems happy I'm taking her side, but a bit conflicted that I might not think she can take care of herself. If this is about the budget, then I'm disappointed you think I've forgotten about it. I understand how important it is. Then, can I have it, please? Shizune, she might not have it on her at this exact second. It's not here right now. I asked 2 students to take care of it for me. Students from my class. She emphasizes this last sentence, much to my surprise. She knows about Shizune and Misha's efforts to rope me into the student council. I guess word must have gotten around. So now she's using me as ammo against Shizune. This just gets better and better. It was your responsibility. A budget report isn't something you should just be delegating away. As class rep, it's your job to be on top of things. This kind of disregard for proper procedure is really just terrible. They completed it, being capable of doing so, but the students have been sick recently, so they could not come to school and give it back to me. If you want, I will apologize on their behalf for getting sick. Okay. Although Misha misses Lily's little jab entirely, Shizune doesn't. She seems torn between being offended by Lily's daring and jumping for joy at the prospect of a challenge. Lily, don't they live here at the school? That's a 5-minute walk, you know. What could they possibly have that prevents them from taking 5 minutes out of their busy lives to drop off something that will affect the enjoyment of their entire class? Lily opens her mouth to say something, but Shizune closes the gap between them and starts signing furiously, waving her hands around like an orchestra conductor. Misha tries her best to convey the same passion, but can't seem to lose her normal cheerful tone. The result is interesting and somewhat surreal. And what's with that attitude? I said that it's not something you should be delegating away. Are you the class representative or aren't you?
Tell me the names of those two students. They should have your job if you can't even handle something this simple yourself. One form isn't the full extent of what I'm supposed to take care of. Lily's tone is growing slightly impatient. She's doing a good job of not letting Shizune see how unsettled she's becoming. She's playing her cards close to her chest. Shizune, on the other hand, wraps her fingers cheerfully around the edge of her glasses, knowing Lily can neither hear nor see how excited she is. Of course, you do so much, class rep. It must be so difficult being you. Lily tightens her lips at Misha's words, clearly understanding the intent behind them, even though Misha delivers them without even a hint of the sarcasm they were meant to have. Shizune and Lily don't like each other, that much is clear, but this seems like a little much. It seems like Lily has had enough and is ready to push back. I was actually just discussing the budget report before you came by. You must be very talented to have finished all your student council duties so quickly that you can track me down to make sure I don't forget my own. Are you accusing me of slacking off? It seems you're confusing me with yourself. I don't think so. That would be a very difficult thing for me to do, comparing myself to you. You're right. The difference between us is like heaven and hell. And it's not hard to guess which one you might represent. The air between them ripples with the heat of their enmity. Well, not really. They can't disguise it anymore, though. Even Misha looks like she's beginning to understand the real nature of this conversation. Thanks for cutting away from that CG. If you hadn't noticed, that CG just has a straight-up panty shot. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hee-chan, don't you slack off either. What are you talking about? Aren't you taking part in the festival, Hee-chan? You are, aren't you? Then I hope you're going to do a lot more to make sure it goes smoothly than this person. I don't understand why Shizune is suddenly getting mad at me. Emmy. We are going to side with Lily this time. Here we go, the running girl. Double check it. Hey, come on, cut me and Lily some slack. Hey, I'm the new guy, remember? It's not like I could have done much even if I wanted. That's right, you shouldn't expect a transfer student to jump right into it on his first week. Lily taking my side feels oddly comforting, so I decide to back her up too. Yeah, you're being unreasonable with us both. Excuses, excuses. Miss Class Rep has had plenty of time to deal with her report. And we repeatedly offered you a position to help with the student council work, but you refused to commit yourself to making the festival a success. Yeah, but as I said back then, I'm not sure if... I don't have time for this right now. No matter what I do, it'll mean being drawn into a confrontation with Shizune. That's exactly what she wants. Whatever, forget it. I turn my back at them. I get back to my seat and shut my ears from the finale of the argument between Lily and Shizune. Eventually, Lily leaves our classroom, and Shizune and Misha seat themselves without talking to me. I can feel Shizune's eyes burning into my back. She's probably angry at me, but I'm just as angry with her. I don't get why she had to drag me into that argument. Hanako doesn't come to the morning class at all, leaving her seat looking empty and lonely in the back of the classroom. I have to tell her that Lily was looking for her if I see her later. After the events of this morning, class is pretty boring in comparison. I turn the pages of my textbook lazily. I have a bit of catching up to do, despite trying to keep up with my studies at the hospital. I'm not feeling that enthusiastic about it. The clock at the front of the room sounds unbearably loud. The teacher hasn't said anything in over 7 minutes, instead opting to cover the board in rows and rows of equations taken directly from the book. The rhythmic clashing of chalk on blackboard seems to synchronize perfectly with the ticking of the clock. My throat is a fucking mess today. I start to copy down the equations just to pass the time, even though they're right there in the textbook. When the bell rings, I'm not in a hurry because I have nothing to do, so I stay for a while, reviewing things we covered in class today.
I prefer to leave last anyway, so I don't have to deal with crowding in the hallways. I notice Shizune and Misha have also stayed behind, talking to someone from another class. Shizune is standing so fast that her hands make noises like swords cutting through the air. Maybe there is pent-up anger in there. Misha is trying desperately to keep up, but it's clear she can barely manage to even understand her. I put my head down. Whatever they're discussing, it looks like serious business. Shizune signs to the point where her wrists crackle, and Misha struggles to spit it out in word form. Sometimes she trips over herself like she's dealing with tongue twisters, and then on top of that she has to sign back anything the other girl says. Seems like a rough job. Misha looks tired, like she's about to faint. Luckily for her, their business is soon finished, and the girls sit down in their seats again. Ah, I'm so tired. She's hanging her head limply on her desk, looking exhausted. I use the opportunity to reconcile with Shizune a bit, without getting roped into the student council thing again. But I suspect that door is now closed for me. Festival preparations must be tough for you. Indeed, the people in the school seem to be taking the festival very seriously. Whenever I see people idling around before and after class, they're always talking about their plans for it. It's kind of neat to see everyone being so enthusiastic about it. Probably the only one who doesn't have something to do. Shizune scoffs at me at first, as if trying to decide whether to ignore or sneer at me, but in the end, she starts signing without doing either. Misha perks up, looking at her hands with slightly unfocused eyes. She signs with harsh, heavy, dramatic strokes. Misha translates her signing into speech for me. She does it so well it's almost like Shizune is actually speaking, transmitting her thoughts directly through Misha. She must have practiced it vigorously. Well, of course, we're in the student council, so we're pretty busy. It's an important duty of ours to ensure the success of the festival with all our strength. We would shame ourselves in front of the past student council generations if the festival were to fail. That's why there must be no flaws. I think that was encumbrances? No, nothing that might make the festival short of perfect. Shizune's passionate speech and Misha's enacting are really oddly fitting of them. Oh, hello. I look over my shoulder and see Hanako peering timidly into the classroom, most of her body hidden behind the door. Hey, playing delinquent again? Hanako blushes hard at Misha's straightforward jab, even if it was only in jest. Shizune stares at her probingly, causing Hanako to look down and start backing away to the point where only her fingers can be seen wrapped nervously around the edge of the door. Maybe she's showing her dislike of Hanako by association of her dislike of Lilly. It appears so, and Hanako probably knows it as well. What is it, Hanako? Has Lilly been here? Sorry, haven't seen Satoy. She came by in the morning, though. Hanako keeps looking uneasily at Shizune, who stares back at her with her usual studying gaze. What is she trying to do? Of course Shizune isn't going to look away. She's intimidating enough as it is, so I can only imagine how terrified Hanako would be. It's a little uncomfortable watching Hanako's reaction to Shizune's normal behavior. This is what happens when two people of two different extremes meet, it seems. Do you know where she is? If she has any sense in her head, she's in her classroom, working on their festival project. But who knows where that woman is loitering at? Hanako nods quickly and retreats with haste. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, we're really hard at work to make the festival happen. And driving other people insane along the way. Well, good luck with that. I stand up to leave, making my exit before either of them manages to berate me anymore for slacking off. The halls are somewhat quiet, as expected. Everyone must be in club meetings or at festival preparations, or both. Shizune's words about being a slacker echo in my head. I feel a bit guilty about not contributing, but I seem to lack the resolve to do something concrete about the matter. For the festival, it's too late already unless I count helping Shizune and Misha, which I naturally don't. And clubs, I don't know. Maybe I'm not a club type of person. Halfway through the way from the school building to the dorms, I spot a figure in front of the dorms. It's Rin. Looks like she's working on her mural today, too. I look over to her, but she doesn't seem to notice me approaching.
She's sitting on an upturned box, looking intently at the wall she's painting with a brush held between her toes. The mural has progressed considerably since yesterday, but it's still only half done as far as I can tell. More colors have appeared, and the twisted human-like figures have spread and increased in number. I have to say, the style is quite eye-catching and very unique. Not that I would be knowledgeable about art by any measurable scale, but it's very nice looking nevertheless. I clear my throat to get her attention, but not startle her so that her concentration won't break. Wait. She doesn't even turn to check who it is. I'll wait. Wait, she says. 15 minutes later, I decide that her concentration is indeed unbroken, and also that I have waited long enough to warrant poking her gently on the shoulder to remind her of my presence. Rin turns her head mechanically to my direction, ending up staring at my crotch level. Oh, it's Hiseo. She can tell? I would feel a lot less uncomfortable if she would look at my face. An astute observation. Hard at work, I see. The conversation starts as if I hadn't been here for a quarter of an hour already, but it's not a concern. At least it starts. Looking good. It does. The layers of paint hiding the other layers of paint, mixing and shaping the human figures, really does create an impressive look. But Rin looks miffed. You shouldn't comment on works in progress. 7 years of bad luck. Sounds terrible. I guess I'll take it back then. Still, it looks good. I wonder if I get 14 years of bad luck for thinking that. Ren turns back to look at her painting and pokes it with a big toe. Could you make some of this color? I'm running out. She looks down at a half-empty bowl with the remains of the same pinkish paint in it. I didn't really intend to stay and help her with this project, though. I guess I didn't intend to do anything much. I look at Rin. She looks emptily back at me. Just this once. Rin picks up another brush and drenches it in another tone of pale red. There are dozens of similar bowls all around her working area. From the looks of this scene, she could have been sitting here. She could have been sitting there for hours. I wonder if she has. That means she'd have been skipping school, though, which I, of course, wouldn't put beyond someone like Rin. I pour a little bit of white and red into the bowl, trying to match the color with the one already on the wall. I can't seem to get it right. It's really inconvenient of her not mix enough in the first place. Getting it to be exactly the same tone will be impossible, but at least I can try to get it as close as I can. Speaking of hard work, isn't that a huge workload for you? It's such a big painting and all. Oh, I'm not old and bitter enough yet to think like that. I guess you aren't. You guessed right. Legs hurt though. They feel like slugs. Slugs made of sea slugs. Because of the position? Yeah. I like doing it in a horizontal position more, if you know what I'm talking about. But it can't be helped. Can't ask the wall to lay down. Saying that, she stretches herself a little, bending her legs back far more than a human should flex. It's astonishing how effortlessly she manages her body around. There's a small flinch in her otherwise blank expression. A hint of pain, maybe? She stretches out her calves. Rin must have stamina and dexterity far above a normal person to be able to live like she does, but she's wearing out working on this. Why push yourself so much? Take a break or something at least. Can eat tomorrow if it's bad. This gives her a pause. A long one, too, feeling like a mental yawn. I don't think so, Hiseo. I'm not pushing myself. It sure looks like you are. No, it's not about pushing or pulling or anything related to that kind of thing. There is this boy. A boy? Yes. Where? At the art club. And? He is blind. Oh, how can you paint if you're blind? No idea. So why is he there? That's the point. He is there. She really should speak more than one word at a time to make this feel more like a discussion and less like an interrogation. He can't really do anything that you'd call art, right? But he comes there anyway, and paints. Why? I don't know. Why?
I don't know. That's why I asked. So... He doesn't paint often, but I think his paintings are very interesting. I'm sure they are. I once tried that, painting with eyes closed. It wasn't too interesting, and cleaning up the floor took ages. Didn't try again. But he is becoming better at sculpting. I see. Maybe she was trying to make a point with this. Maybe she forgot she had one. Seems like the art club is full of interesting people. Not really. Pretty blunt statement, and she totally missed the sarcasm. No? Just like I said, they are not very interesting. I usually don't have much interest in people who are not interesting. Maybe you have. Maybe. But that boy is interesting. Maybe I'm like that boy, or maybe you are. Maybe everyone is. Doing things you can't do, just because you can. That's pretty deep, I think, and I tell her that to her. You're a deep one. Nah, I'm a really shallow and thoughtless person. People say that to me all the time. Did you know I can only think of 4 things at the same time? No, but now I do. Right now I'm thinking of the second floor girls' toilet, ice cream flavored ice cream, the middle toe, and a haircut. I'm going to need a haircut. That was really funny. She shakes her head around vigorously, letting her short and messy hair ruffle wildly around. I can see that doing it is something she likes to do. We fall silent as Rin treads around absent-mindedly, poking some brushes around. The thought about the art club sticks in my head for a while longer. I'm feeling like I'm treading on very unknown territory with art. The way these meetings with Rin go, it's as though I'm starting a smoking habit or something. I should probably stop talking with her. It's not like I dislike her, despite the confusion her being herself causes. I don't dislike art either. I've even drawn for fun sometimes. I just don't have a real creative drive or any technical skill. So usually if I were to draw something, I get white paper syndrome and just freeze completely. That, or I manage to draw something disfigured and promptly get frustrated at my inability to put the picture in my head down on the paper, then call it quits without really even trying to make an effort. Rin clearly doesn't have this problem, but she frustrates me in another way. Being with her is like looking into a mirror that doesn't reflect anything. It makes one question the sanity of the act. Rin sits down on her box, swaying from side to side, apparently comfortable with the uncomfortable silence. She's staring at me again, or maybe over my shoulder. I can't quite figure out where her eyes are focused. I'm thinking of leaving so she can carry on working undistracted, that I can do whatever I'm going to do alone. It's not like I have anything that must be done today. Oh, shoot. Who? Nobody. I just forgot to tell Hanako that Lilly was looking for her. Do you know her? From my class? Oh, her. The mystery toilet girl. That person is funny. I saw her going to the toilet 5 times during one recess 3 weeks ago. I'm sure it's the world record. It was very mysterious. That's why you call her Mystery Toilet Girl? What other reason could there possibly be? Well, if there is, it's an eternal mystery. I didn't follow her in there. Maybe it was the week before that. Could have been. Looking at her makes me hungry. Don't say that! At least not around her. Rin turns to look at me blankly, as if she's not sure why I reproved her. But she doesn't acknowledge understanding any more than before, so I give up at this point. So do you want to go eat dinner then? No, not yet. Rin has turned her hungry gaze back to the wall, looking slightly more energetic, or at least slightly less lethargic than she did before. It's as if the wall is an opponent she can vanquish, something she must overcome before she can indulge in dinner. This is the feeling I get. A weird sense of empathy overcomes me and makes me smile a little to myself. For all her oddity, Rin is pretty cool after all. I'll be going anyway. Have fun. Rin has already grasped a brush and is dipping it into fresh paint, so of course she can't hear me anymore, or doesn't answer anything even if she does. Do you understand why I like Rin? Do you understand why I like Rin? I think she's absolutely amazing. There are 3 roots in this game that stick in my mind very, very much. Hanako's, Rin's, and Lily's. Some of Shizune sticks in my mind for a little bit, but that's for completely different reasons. Same with Emmy's. But Rin, Lily, and Hanako all have very memorable roots to me. Why does it feel like my... Whatever. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise, and I'm going to keep it. Besides, Emmy is bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad. So now, we're going to make a choice that we haven't made in a single route before. I hope you're excited for that. You can probably already guess what it is, but... Shh, let the surprise stick. My morning alarm goes off, and I flail about uselessly for a while until I remember that I decided to give morning runs another shot. I don't know if this was my greatest idea, but I'm determined to keep going. This is about my health, after all. Sure, things haven't been great lately for me, but that hasn't made existence so intolerable that I'm not going to try everything I can to stay healthy. Besides, it's all about asserting some kind of control over this thing, right? If I can manage that, well, I can manage anything. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Once again, it would appear that I'm not alone in my run. Emmy has apparently been here for some time. It looks like she's already worked up a good sweat. Just when the hell does she come down here, anyway? Oh, it's you! I'm surprised to see you again. Why's that? Well, not many people actually manage to come back for a second try. She frowns, seemingly annoyed by a passing thought. Like the rest of the track team, for instance. Still, it was only supposed to be on a volunteer basis, so it's not that big of a shock. I guess it is pretty early in the morning. A shrug, and suddenly it appears she's forgotten what she was talking about. The frown disappears entirely, and she seems to snap back to her previous train of thought. So, come on then! What? You're here to run again, right? Well, yes. So come on! I found myself suddenly grabbed and yanked onto the track. Things seem to be set on mirroring yesterday's run. That is, I seem to be struggling, while Emmy moves with an effortlessness that I find enviable. It's incredibly bothersome to be so easily worn out. I know I should be patient and work towards things gradually, but it's difficult to stay positive about this. We round the track and start on our second lap. Emmy seems to have grown impatient of keeping pace with me and begins to pull away. This is where I gave out yesterday. Will I be able to do more? Imagine that. The route with the runner. We're gonna go for it. What am I doing here? Am I really just gonna fold and let Emmy pull ahead? I speed up. The second lap's done quickly, and without even considering it, I keep going. Emmy looks back over her shoulder at me and grins. Still going? Wouldn't want you to think I'm out of shape. I can't pant really well. Emmy laughs, without breaking her stride no less, and speeds up even more. Well, if this is the way we're gonna play things, Hiseo, you're gonna fucking die, dude. I increase my own pace as well. I feel my lungs burning, and my legs are starting to question just what the hell I think I'm doing. Lactic acid screams in my muscles, but I close my ears. That doesn't track for me, because I was always told, as a baseball player, that you built up lactic acid in your arms when you threw, and when you ran, you broke down that lactic acid so it didn't. Let's see. We're gonna look this up. I'm sorry, I forgot that, shortcuts. Yeah, so I was fucking lied to for 4 years. In reality, there is no lactic acid buildup during pitching. It's a substance, and when it donates or loses a hydrogen in its chemical form, it becomes lactate. Lactate is found in blood. The energy pathway which is used most of the time in baseball is the ATP-CP system, phosphagen, which lasts for about 10 seconds. Next pathway is the glycolytic system, 30 seconds to 2 minutes, where the demand for energy is high, oxygen needs are suppressed, and lactate levels start to rise. The ATP-CP system is responsible for the act of pitching. The system does not require oxygen and is only needed for a few seconds for quick, explosive movements. Pitching is high-intense movement, but only lasts for about a second. Therefore, pitching does not create lactic buildup. There are no significant differences between lactate levels before and after pitching. Wow. Okay, actually, I want to... So why do pitchers run long distances if it's not to break down lactic acid? To go run poles after condition... Yeah. I fucking know all about running poles. Long distance running is a main component of a conditioning program baseball to lose power and explosive. Oh. So distance running is actually counterproductive to baseball. Interesting. Anyway, this is baseball lessons with AriaOfTheStar. And the revelation that I was lied to for 4 years. Go run poles, burn that lactic acid off. No, that's all bullshit. Oh well. Anyway, I can't let myself fall behind because that would be a loss. A rational voice in my head inquires mildly just when we started playing a game. I'd enter it, but I'm having a lot of trouble thinking at present. She's so fast. How the hell does she keep it? It's like a string pulling at my chest, a choking feeling of narrowness and pain. Before I can think of anything else than, oh shit, the track disappears from under my feet. I stumble, one hand shooting down to clutch at my chest, the other hitting the track to keep me from falling on my face. Emmy whirls around and her eyes widen. Hiseo! She yells at me, sprinting from the other side of the track. What's wrong? Nothing, just... Keep your breathing steady. Calm down. Don't panic. Don't panic. Do you need me to get the nurse? I close my eyes, shutting out the outside world. My heart struggles to regain its rhythm. Slowly, the pain in my chest begins to subside. Soon it's gone like nothing happened. It was... nothing? No, something happened there. I open my eyes and glance at a very worried Emmy. I think I'm fine. My voice sounds weird even to myself, oddly even and matter of fact. It makes Emmy frown. I don't think you are. She seems to come to a decision and nods to herself. Right, you're coming with me. You've got to see the nurse. Emmy grabs my arm and drags me up. I feel a bit wobbly, but I refuse the shoulder Emmy offers me for support. Honestly, I'm a little ashamed about my own weakness. I'd really rather not have Emmy concerned about me, but it seems to be too late. Heck, I'd really rather not have anyone concerned about my condition, but at this point it seems to be too late for that as well. I'd like to be able to deal with the whole thing on my own, without being a bother to anyone else. When I'm wishing for things, I'd rather not have this condition in the first place. Nurse! Emmy crashes into his office without knocking, but it doesn't alarm the nurse in the least. Good morning, Sunshine. What's up? That's... Don't say that. Sunshine? Anyway, he calmly sips from his coffee mug, but lays it down after following Emmy's gaze to me looming in the doorway. Hiseo? What brings you here? We were running and he stumbled over and started grabbing at his chest and I thought I'd come and... Jesus, let me actually read things. And I thought I'd come get you and make him wait there, but he said he was okay, but then I thought you should see him anyway and... Easy there, Emmy. Calm down. Hiseo, what happened? I don't know. We were running, and then my chest started hurting like that time before, but it went away after a few seconds. It was just a flutter or something? The nurse frowns, as if to say that just a flutter is some kind of oxymoron. I didn't mean quite this when I suggested to get some exercise. You've got to be more careful, Hiseo. I was being careful, Come to think of it, I just got into a race with a member of the Trek team. Doesn't seem as well reasoned as I thought it would. You just what? I was racing Emmy. Emmy, is this true? Emmy fidgets, looking adorably contrite. Well... Finally, she can't seem to bring herself to say it out loud, and merely nods. The nurse sighs and rubs at his forehead with one hand tiredly. Emmy, you've got to be more sensitive to the limits of others. I don't know if he told you, but Hiseo has a bad heart. Getting him to race you was incredibly irresponsible. Actually, I started it. The nurse is stunned by my statement. You what? We were just running, and Emmy started to pull away, so I sped up to catch her. The nurse stares at the ceiling, mutters a prayer for patience to some god or another, and looks back down at the both of us. So you're both stupid. That's a comfort, I guess. Now, come on, Hiseo. I've got to make sure your heart's not going to explode or something. I dutifully obey and follow him to the adjacent room where we ascertain that I am, in fact, not going to keel over and die. So how does it feel? I don't know. Nothing much. Tired, but it might just be from the exercise. You should stay here for a few hours and rest, and we'll see how you feel after that. I am not going to object, so I lie down on the infirmary bed. A thoroughly miserable Emmy comes in after getting an earful from the nurse in the other room. I couldn't hear what he said through the closed door, but I'm sure it wasn't pleasantries. Look, I'm really sorry. I should have been more careful. Hey, you didn't know. It's not your fault. She looks awfully down and sorry, and my reassurances don't do anything much to cheer her up. I want to make it up to you. Again with that decisive nod. So you have to come to lunch with me. I'll bring it for you, okay? Something really good. I start with a you don't have to, but then shut up and just nod at her when I see her face. Good. We meet on the roof. We? Yep, the weather's nice now, so the roof's a great spot for lunch, you know. I see. You'll come, right? You wouldn't deny me the chance to make it up to you. Of course not. Great, see you there. I stay afloat somewhere between asleep and awake, feeling completely drained. Not only my body, but all of me is limp and paralyzed, apart from my senses. I swallow with difficulty and then try to lie as still as I can, which in this state is not a very hard thing to do. The nurse is shuffling around on the other side of the curtains he drew to give me privacy. I can see a shadow shifting about in the sunlight. He's opened the window of his office. It's windy outside. The clean white curtains flutter in the breeze in a heavy, lazy motion, like waves. Light sifts through them slowly, half absorbing into the fabric. I close my eyes. The breeze on my face feels like the soft fabric of the curtains. I listen to the sound of my heartbeat for a moment, trying to shut out the sound of the nurse tapping away on his keyboard and my own heavy breathing. It's steady. Damn it. Not even a week and I end up like this again. I really screwed up this time. Should have known better than to play the half-baked spork star in front of a real one. And why did I try to act brave, like that heart flutter was no big deal, even when it was obvious that it was? It was just a reflex to push it away, to keep it inside. I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want Emmy to see it. Ugh. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I have to be more careful or I will end up in the hospital again, or worse. It's my final thought before I give in to the tiredness. fell asleep. For how long? What time is it? I'm feeling a little lightheaded and I keep blinking compulsively. Pushing the curtains aside, I squint my eyes against the unfiltered light pouring in from the window. The texture of the canvas feels nothing like the wind did before. The nurse looks up from his work, sitting exactly where he was before. How are you feeling? I can't really tell, so I don't answer anything. I'm feeling kind of groggy from falling asleep at such a weird time. Hopefully I don't look too weird. What time is it? Me croaking the question to gain some orientation, the nurse looking at his wristwatch before answering. Things seem to happen in slow motion. Quarter past 10. I'm trying to think for a moment what that means, but I'm not really sure. You didn't answer my question, Hisao. Oh, fine. Climb down from that bed then, and let's see how you're doing. Don't... I try to do exactly that, only to sway dizzily when I move too fast. The nurse moves to try and support me by an arm and sighs. Stand up too quickly is what I was going to say. Just sit there. I'll check your pressure to make sure. My good intentions sure lasted for a long time. I shut up, embarrassed with myself, while the nurse gets busy with an old-fashioned contraption in my arm. After a couple of minutes, he puts it away, looking neither pleased nor unhappy. You're alright. Head stop spinning? Yeah. Good, and how are the contents doing? You didn't show very good judgment out there, Hisao. I swallowed the retort I was going to make. It's what I was thinking myself, but hearing it stated by somebody else makes me want to protest. What he's saying is not pleasant to hear. It doesn't make him any less right, though. No, sir. He nods, still looking as neutral as he was before. It'd be easy to be angry at him if he said told you so or something, but he doesn't. I can try and help you keep your health, but ultimately the last call lies with you. Hopefully this little episode will be something that'll remind you of that. Here, a note for your teacher, to avoid an interrogation. I take the slip of paper he's offering, and then take my leave as I can't think of anything else to say, nor even really want to. Stay out of trouble, you hear me? I don't think it was anything but a scare, but next time could be different. I hear you. There is some way to get to the school building straight from the auxiliary building, but I'm not keen to find out and possibly get lost, so I go out from the exit that I know works. I stop at the stairs of the auxiliary building, deliberating for a moment between going to the dorms to get my books and stuff and going straight away to the class. The sun stings my eyes, so I head towards the dorms. The halls are quiet as the courtyard was, naturally so since everyone is in class. I knock lightly at the door of 3-3 and push open the door when Matoy calls from the other side. Sorry I'm late. 15 pairs of eyes turn to me. Good morning, Nakai. Matoy seems to be somewhat confounded by my coming in late, as if I interrupted his flow or something. Judging from the rambling lectures his classes tend to be, that might be the case. I pass him the note the nurse gave me. Matoy takes it with a nod and reads it quickly. He lifts his eyebrows and gives me a kind of stern look, but doesn't say anything, just nods solemnly again. I shrug, and he gestures at me to run along, so I naturally do. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first days I was pretty high-strung in class. Matoy finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues with a pause about the festival. So as you know, the festival is done the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food! Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I meant was more that the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Matoy deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Normally I join the flow and grab a lunch myself, but today is different. Today I've been invited to lunch on the roof. An odd location, but that's where I was told to go. Fortunately, I managed to find shelter from the storm in the lee of the classroom door. Eventually, the torrent subsides, and I step tentatively out into the hallway, only to be met by Emmy, who comes flouncing down the hallway like a cannonball. Hey, Hiseo! Great timing! I have super extra lunch today as promised. Let's go upstairs. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Hello. Yipes! You scared me, Rin! Wait, isn't she... Hello. Oh, that was terrible. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze toward the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward sound lasts only for a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited Hiseo for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh. Does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. Small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere, a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly, I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to, just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces 1 big and 2 small lunch boxes from her bag. Come on, Hiseo, what are you waiting for? She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all 3 of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch, as promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I make it myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing, either. Does getting used to this place mean I've given up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thought by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you lost it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How do you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer the question. Someone in the housing department thought that we complement each other really well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all the limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is generally curious, makes me feel slightly better, and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms, so putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, Hiseo, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended. Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve. She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch all alone. I am suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding. I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay, too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're going to fade away. Rin shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Sorry, Yuko. I didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. Suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. Feeling utterly drained, I head to my room to read the books I borrowed. There's been enough action and excitement for one day. The first is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I know the story, of course, but I've never actually read the original book. It's just as trippy as I remember the story to be, with the wacky characters and nonsense plot. I start thinking of myself as some kind of Alice, too, haplessly tumbling down the rabbit hole into this cripple wonderland. Okay, that's a rather strong expression. Still, the isolated location and the overt way the school accommodates to absolutely everything is unsettling. It's like another world. I wonder why I can't shake the feeling of being an outsider like Alice, despite most everyone being so hospitable and friendly with me. Turning another page, my mind starts drifting further away from the book. It's quiet. I can hear my heartbeat thumping against the fabric of my shirt. For some reason, it makes me feel really bad, like it has since that time in the forest with Iwanako. Like I was locked in a cage with something nasty and scary. I put the book down for a while and stare at the ceiling, taking my time to shake off the feeling. 200 pages later, I fall asleep. If you couldn't tell, by the way, with this stream, we're gonna stop at the end of the first act. So, the end of the festival. I need to get more water, though. I'll never imagine you'll be surprised by that. Hi, Zadric. Just got back. I was getting more water. Nice to see you could make it to a stream. Alright. The students roll into class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. We're on Emmy's route right now. We are nearing the end of the first act, which is where I was going to actually end the stream for tonight. So the next stream will be the start of Act 2 for Emmy. Yeah, it's actually the one I remember the least, I believe. Mutoi lurches into class into a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Oh, sorry, yeah. Wordlessly, The students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partly be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Suzune aren't present, probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she's making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Nikai, can I speak to you for a moment? Oh, I could do that, yeah. No. I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Motoi approaching my desk. Sure. What's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Motoi stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he's trying to say. Not knowing what's going on, I wait silently. I heard from the school's head nurse that you had an incident the other day. Ah, so it's about that. Well, kind of, but it's not anything to be worried about. Yes it is. Anything that can endanger your health is something to be worried about. We try our best here to prepare you for life here. That's a confusing sentence. We try our best here to prepare you for life here. Part of that involves knowing your limits and how to work around them. It would be remiss of me if I didn't speak up about this. Misha is, yeah, it is. Now I can't think of any. There's Russian athletes named Misha, I think, but I can't think of any of them right now. Alright, I get it. I'm sorry. Motoi closes his eyes in frustration, and I realize that this probably wasn't the best thing to say. Something tells me that you're not sorry. Pretend as much as you want, but this isn't a normal school. A lot of people have put in a lot of time, effort, and money to make sure that you and every other student here can have the same level of education as your peers. I speak absolutely no Russian, which is really funny because 2 of my favorite content creators have have big Russian fan bases. For you to abuse that by throwing out advice, especially medical advice, is plain selfish. I'm not quite sure if this is actually how he feels, or if it is some act that he's practiced many times to guilt-trip students into doing the right thing. Either way, it's working. I understand. This is all new to me, and I apologize. I know my limits now, and I'll be sticking to them. Motoi appears to lighten up a little, satisfied that his message has been received. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. We've gotten through Hanako's and Lilly's, so we've still got Emmy. The order I'm going to do it is Emmy, Shizune, and Rin, and then the bad ending. I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Motoi taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. I did. Lilly actually doesn't, have a bad route, from what I remember. I did Hanako's, though. Oh, man, Lily's neutral ending is actually, there's no change from how you get to the good ending, so I didn't do that one on stream. Hanako's bad and neutral endings are quite sad, if I remember right. think those would be in Katawa Shoujo. They'd be in part 5. Part 5 was when I finished Hanako's route. Alright. Well, yeah, you've got to keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Mutoi's serious talk is over, and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think, in hindsight, that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure. You're the boss, right? Mutoi pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant, I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Mutoi does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the near silence that Mutoi and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend, with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lilly. It's weird that Lilly comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. Yeah, I was trying to decide on that. I don't want to just skip through it, but at this point I've already read 2.5 hours of 3 new scenes, so it builds up the watch time, so but it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that, or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lead splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fuming around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye, out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her, though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Hanako is my favorite character in the game, with Rin being a close second. which is why I'm doing Rin's route last. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. Yeah, Hanako's route was the one I got on the first playthrough of the first game without using a guide. After about 10 minutes of relentlessly shuffling in her seat and trying to read, Hanako closes her book and leaves too. As I should, since the assignment is all but finished and there's nothing else to do in the classroom. Not that I have anything to do anywhere else either. The school is a beehive of activity, but nobody pays me any heed. I saunter past classrooms filled with students, frantically doing this and that, buzzing around like little worker bees. You wouldn't guess the school day is over. It's a bit quieter outside, but not by much. People zip by left and right, hurrying as quickly as they can, busy and energetic. I feel the opposite. The midday sun seems to be draining all the spirit out of my body, making me feel limp all over. Warm, soft air flows inside my shirt, feeling like a cushion. Yep, I got good roots, and then I did the wrap-up, because then I went for 100%. I yawn lazily, thinking about what I'd do. I'll drop off my books at the dorms first, and then something I haven't decided yet. Maybe Kenji's in his room. On the way to dorms, I spot Emmy coming my way, running despite not having those weird running prosthetics on. I wave at her and she skids to a stop. Yeah, it was... I can't believe I did it too. I was so much younger. Yo, Hiseo! Spatters of white and green paint adorn her nose and chin, respectively, but her smile is wide, as it seems it always is. She leans closer to me, amplifying the feeling she is examining me. What you doing? Nothing really. I don't have anything to do for the festival, and everyone else seems to be doing something important. That's perfect! Then you can help me and Rin. With the festival preparations? Yeah, I'm not sure if I would be much help. That's fine. I'm not much help either. Emmy grabs my wrist and starts dragging me back inside the school quite forcefully. Even her walking speed is more like jogging, making me stumble over myself simply trying to keep up. The stairs slow Emmy down a little bit. Maybe it's hard to climb with her legs, or maybe she's finally run out of breath. We go all the way back to the third floor, into the seniors' hallway, ending up where I left 5 minutes ago. I could just as well have stayed here waiting for Emmy, had I known. So, is Rin working on that mural still? That's right. She needs all kinds of paints and brushes and stuff, so I went to get them from the art classroom. And you need me to help with that? Well, Rin told me you'd already helped her, so I thought you wouldn't mind. I'm confused by what you're asking. I see. So thanks to Emmy's flaky logic, here I am again, collecting stuff from the art classroom for other people. The room is empty, apart from ourselves and the lonely specks of dust floating in the air. Emmy skips straight away to the back wall, digging out a tiny crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. While she tries to make sense of the scrawled handwriting, I take a closer look at the materials lying around here. Dozens of paint cans and bottles are arranged on the shelves in a most unorganized fashion. Some look like they have been left there for several decades, relics of previous art club generations. Next to the heavy stacks of neatly piled drawing paper are boxes full of different-sized brushes and unsorted crayons. The smells of paint, turpentine, and fresh paper float in the stale air, mixing in my nostrils to form that unmistakable scent of art. Emmy studies her notes, comparing them to the markings on the various paint cans, and passes them to me as she finds the correct matches. She stretches her neck to look on the topmost shelf, but it's not quite enough. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Oh, yeah, you basically spelled it out. It was just... where's my mouse? Sorry, my hotkeys are enabled. Whoops. I'm thinking about maybe changing those hotkeys to the numpad. That might be the best way. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Emmy gives up and just looks up to the shelf longingly, like a child at a toy store, huffing in annoyance. After a moment of building anger, she starts jumping up and down, apparently trying to speed read the labels during the fraction of a second she can see them, and catch what she can. It's no surprise that she fails miserably, and almost manages to bring the entire shelf crashing down. Now I see why me lending a hand here would be useful. Come on, let me do that. You can't jump high enough, and I don't want you to hurt yourself trying. Also, I'm like twice your height. You are not. She turns around, flaring scorn, flushed cheeks and all. Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, I'll look up there, okay? She glares at me one more time, but can't come up with a retort. With a grudging humph, she turns her back to me. So I begin scrounging around the top shelf for paint, while below, Emmy crouches to scavenge what she can from the cupboards. I shake my head a little, after double-checking to ensure she can't see me do so. Emmy having a complex about her height was a surprise. I wouldn't have joked about it otherwise. She seems easygoing, but I guess everyone has their weak spots. Only after we have almost all the items collected and spread out on desks like treasure hunter spoils do I realize that it wasn't necessarily the height jab that got her riled up. She might not like to be told that she can't do something, like jump. But Emmy seems to have forgotten all about it already. Quick to anger, quick to forgive. Is she that type of person? At least she doesn't seem to have taken anything to heart. As she chatters away happily, will we pick up the rest of the items and then make our way back to Rin. I chivalrously carry the bulk of the materials as we make our way towards the dormitories. Rin is really stressed about getting her painting done. It's her own fault, though. She should have started earlier. Is she going to make it? No idea. It looks good to me, but with Rin, you never know what's going on. I found her this morning lying in front of the dorm in a fetal position. She hadn't slept all night. I can't believe that the night nurses hadn't found her. And now she's painting again like crazy. Yeah, I've noticed that she comes off as kinda unhinged, so to speak. Emmy giggles at that, as well as my likely too obvious awkwardness. I don't mind it. She's just a little weird sometimes. On that I can agree with her. Unlike me, Emmy seems to be cool with Rin's whatever it is that feels so off about her. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizune do. With them working as a single entity sometimes, it's hard to say where one ends and the other begins. Even though they're so different, just like Emmy and Rin are. And Rin is the most different of them all. Different from anyone else I've met. Yeah, I guess she's a very unique person. I return to that word again, as if it encompasses Rin's personality by itself. But really it's just a substitute for a lengthy description of her oddities. Emmy giggles as I grasp out for a properly descriptive word. She's just weird. You know, earlier, she's just spent half an hour sitting on her box. And stared at her toes. She giggles again in a way that makes me think she doesn't know what's funny about it. It just is. All that time. The working area is a mess, but the mural itself has taken over even more of the wall since I last saw it. The disfigured human figures have been mostly colored in tones of red, pink, and orange. Weird, imaginary things populating the spaces between. It looks nice. I can't think of any word that would describe the work concisely and comprehensively, so I settled myself on the nondescript nice. It is 7:06 p.m. So I am in America's central time zone, so. But honestly, it seems that the area around the wall becomes untidier at the same rate as the mural progresses. Yep, 7:06 in the evening. The ground is littered with dozens of paint cans, various art supplies, and empty soda bottles. Rin herself is in the center of this chaos, standing there looking very cozy, as if she was a natural part of the scene. Her pant legs have been rolled up to her knees, exposing her thin legs, which sport a drying spectrum of war paintings, similar to those on Emmy's face. Oh yeah, I forgot. 1906, yes. I'm not used to military time. Emmy sprints to Rin ahead of me and gleefully jumps in front of her. I'm back! That was fast. Did you run in the corridors again? Hiseo helped me. Emmy points victoriously at me. Rin turns around, following Emmy's finger with her eyes, looking at my general direction. She nods absent-mindedly at me. She looks like she hasn't slept since last night, a vacant, glazed stare that's focused slightly off me, and movements like in a slow-motion movie. Hello, Hiseo. Thank you for your help. Don't mention it. I just did. Never mind. Looks like you've made progress. Looking good as far as I can tell. But now you get more bad luck. I know, but I'm willing to take the risk. That's a very nice thing to say. For me, of course. Not for you. This is why artists are always unlucky. They have to constantly look at their unfinished paintings. So artists can't find romance, their favorite TV shows are cancelled, or they die young because of an unspecified disease. It's a deep and mysterious law of the universe. Unless they are blind. She considers this for a while, looking like she's going to fall asleep. There is a boy. At the art club, you see. Blind boy, so he doesn't see. You already told me. I glance sideways at Emmy, and she glances back in a way that tells me she's heard this one before, too. Neither of us says anything to Rin, though, so she continues her monotone soliloquy. Is that soliloquy? English is hard. Like an unfunny stand-up comedian. He should become an artist. No bad luck. Guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work, and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize, but can't remember the name of. Emmy arranges the supplies we brought, and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Emmy, I need the Prussian blue paint. Which one's Prussian blue? She's staring helplessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with Prussian blue paint in it. Jeez, Rin, you're not helping at all. I look around as well, even though I don't know what Prussian blue looks like either. I wonder what blue has to do with Prussia. Or what Prussia even is. Oh god. Bad flashbacks to when I was a terrible shit weeb. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. Bad flashbacks to watching Italia. Well, none of the blues look more Prussian than the others. The small print on the labels is legible enough to determine that none say anything about the contents being Prussian. There is no Prussian blue here. We need to get more, then. I open my mouth to say that actually we're not both needed for such a simple task, like finding another pot of Prussian blue, but Emmy's already grabbed my arm and started dragging me off. I have not played many visual novels. I was thinking about VA11A, HA11A. Or Valhalla, basically. The drinking, or the drink mixing one. But Emmy's already grabbed my arm and started dragging me off. I waved to Rin, who doesn't seem to have noticed that the two of us are even leaving. Well, she'll notice when she goes for her Prussian blue and finds out it's still not there. Maybe. Probably not, actually. It's one I've heard really good things about, so I'd like to try it out. Not in the middle of doing another visual novel, though. I want to do like one at a time. While I'm busy of thinking of how weird Rin is, Emmy's been dragging me back to the art classroom. I feel myself starting to run out of breath. What's the rush? Huh? Emmy's giving me an appraising look, as if she's trying to figure something out. It's just that you seem to be in a hurry. I'm not sure I can keep up. Comprehension dawns on her face. You're not out of breath, are you? There's an almost accusing playfulness to her tone. I'm tempted to deny it, but then I realize that I've been breathing heavy since we stopped. Guess it's kind of obvious. A little. Not everybody can be in shape, you know. Takes all kinds, right? Emmy frowns. It's not a particularly good frown. That is, I should get in shape? Not that I hadn't already decided to try for that. After that flutter on the track, I figured there's a real need to get in some sort of running habit. I was, after all, feeling pretty good until I had my false alarm. Well, actually I wasn't, but it was fun. Meanwhile, my comment seems to have helped Emmy come to some sort of decision. Well, that's it then. She gives me a serious look. You're joining me. I beg your pardon? In the mornings. You and I are now running partners. I've got a routine all planned out. In fact, she produces a crumpled sheet of paper. I've got it right here with me. I take the sheet of paper and give it a once-over. Times, dates, and laps, all laid out. A slow increase from just a few laps a day to... My God, does she expect to have me running marathons? And where did she find the time to get this all together? And how long has she been planning this anyway? You've been planning this? A little. But it's really the nurse's idea. He told me to keep an eye on you, to make sure you exercise like he told you to. A vast conspiracy. Maybe Kenji's onto something here. This seems a bit much for just keeping an eye on me. Well, to be honest, I've been trying to find a running partner in the mornings for a while now. My God, Kenji, if you could only see the scheme unfolding. What do you need a partner for anyway? It's easy to keep up a workout if you're not the only one doing it. Isn't that obvious? You're less likely to quit if someone else is counting on you to be there, right? I see. And this won't only keep you running, but it'll make sure that I keep running as well. Meaning that I'll be obeying the nurse. And I'll be keeping an eye on you, just like he asked. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't understand any Russian, so I can't read it for you in Russian. You cut on quick, Hiseo. And if I refuse? I have no intentions of refusing, of course. But I've got to at least put up a token resistance to such a masterfully executed plan. Well, if you refused, I'd have to pout. And you have to live with being the guy who made Emmy Ibarazaki pout. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? As if to demonstrate, Emmy begins pouting. It is the most adorable, heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen. Okay, I'll do it. Just don't do that. Understandable. I feel like I just hit a puppy. So it's settled, right? You're going to be my running partner? Follow the workout? And the dietary plan? Dietary plan? Yeah, the dietary plan. You've got to eat healthy if you're going to get in shape, you know. I examined the workout routine closely. I don't see a dietary plan on here. Oh, right. I forgot to give that to you. Another crumpled sheet of paper is produced and handed over. It's somewhat less detailed. I had the nurse help me come up with it. The amount of dedication that the nurse has to keeping me in good health is pretty overwhelming. I don't know many school nurses who would get one of their students to spy on me, much less help come up with a dietary plan. I haven't posted. I posted on Twitch, but it's on YouTube. This is the guide I'm using. That's the guide I'm using for this. So I don't know many school nurses who would get one of their students to spy on me, much less help come up with a dietary plan. Then again, I guess I'm not in a normal school. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Then again, this dietary plan seems to cut out just about everything that'll be offered at the festival tomorrow. So when does our running start? After the festival. Right after? What if I've had something to eat there? I could get a stomachache, you know. I meant the day after the festival. I knew that. Wasn't there something we were supposed to be doing? Oh, I guess we should get that paint for Rin, huh? Oh no! It slipped my mind. By the time we get the paint and get back to the mural, Rin's already wandered off. Oh well. Emmy and I both decide to part ways there, leaving the paint on the ground. Rin'll find it, whenever she comes back anyway. Festival's tomorrow. I'm actually a little excited for it. At the same time, the week's left me feeling pretty tired, so I read a little and then go to bed. That was an unusually slow fade. I've already read through all that, at least the start of this part. The next day, I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine, since it's a Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday though, but the festival as well. From my window, I can already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low-quality food. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming weeks, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not as worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Finishing my morning routine, I exit into the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji's up to today out of impulse. I'm curious if he has any plans, since everyone is doing something. Then again, I could picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with a "No Girls Allowed" sign. And with the girls crossed out and the body crudely scrawled underneath it. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign, I hear again the unsettling clicking of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens a crack. Who is it? You're supposed to ask that before you open the door? Oh, it's you. Damn, it's early. It's not really that early. What is it, man? Nothing. I was just gonna ask what you're gonna do today. Half the school is out there already. Out where? Why? What? What? Is today special? Why are they there? Who are? I can hear them. It's loud. Don't tell me. Has the invasion begun? He suddenly looks more alarmed. What day is it, man? Yeah, I guess you can't see the big wooden booths outside and people selling stuff.
What the hell are you talking about? I have my curtains closed at all times to thwart the snipers.
It's the festival. You know that, right?
Oh, shit. That's today? Ah, damn. Ah, damn. Damn it.
Kenji is absolutely hilarious.
I can't believe I forgot. I don't have my fort finished yet. This is bad. This is going to be a very bad day. It's good you told me this, man. This is going to be a bad day.
Why?
Oh man, they're going to be everywhere. The people, outside my window, socializing.
Kenji rubs his temples nervously, suddenly looking very ill.
It's going to be loud as hell. Damn, and I was going to go out today, but now it's ruined. Everything is ruined. This is awful. This sucks. This sucks. What the hell? This really sucks. I can't go anywhere now. There's nowhere to run.
Kenji seems nervous. You could even say he's majorly freaking out.
I can't believe this. So that's what today was. Damn, and I couldn't even prepare for it. I couldn't even brace myself, and now it's here, and I can't do anything. You should have told me this earlier, dude. I mean, at least I know, but I could have known earlier. Imagine what I could have accomplished.
Sorry, I thought you knew. I thought it had it. I think they have all of the girls, like they have their stuff on the actual website. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it's got it all on their website. On the official Katawa Shoujo website. So I guess you're not going to do anything today? The weather is even good. Yesterday was really windy, so I thought today would be cold. It's not, though. So there's no reason to just stay inside. Yeah, you should check the festival out. Kenji groans and covers his face with his hands.
Ah, no! I can't do it. They'll eat me alive out there. I know it.
That has to be a joke, but he said it with such a straight face. Relatively straight.
What are you going to do? We should hang out in here. You can help me build my fort. We might still make it if we work together.
I wonder. I'm kind of hungry, but I made this deal that I try to take better care of myself. Be healthier, you know. Don't know if I should steer clear of the takoyaki or head straight in.
Deal? Sounds ominous. So what are you getting in return?
Nothing, I guess? It's not that kind of a deal. You know, Emmy from our year? We kind of agreed to watch each other's backs and...
Aye!
The shrill scream and expression of abject terror in Kenji's face chill my blood. It's as if I told a Catholic priest I sold my soul to the devil.
Her! You sold your soul to the devil and didn't get anything in return? What the hell is wrong with you, man? Do you know who you're dealing with? She's a public health danger. Do you know how many people she sends to the hospital monthly with her carefully placed flying tackles? She's one of them. A key player in the vast conspiracy that aims for the complete submission of everything that is manly. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I trusted in your judgment, man. I thought we were brothers. You have to call it off before it's too late. This festival, too. It's just one of their ploys.
He fingers his scarf nervously, faster and faster, like he's trying to start a fire. Then slowly begins to calm down once the panic attack finishes running its course.
I'm gonna have to find myself someplace to hide in, a safe haven. And then knock the lights out of myself so that I don't have to experience this horrible day. I have the perfect thing for that. I must prepare now. Don't go to the festival.
Okay.
Later, dude.
The door slowly closes with a low creak, and I don't know how to feel about what Kenji just said. It's kind of unsettling, and now I start to feel doubtful of myself. Should I bother going? I've got a book I've been meaning to read. Something about an underground postal system that may or may not exist. It's short, too. I could have it finished in a day. But would that be a good way to spend my time? Well, yeah, it definitely would be. But I suppose that it would probably be a better idea to head outside. See the festival. Try to integrate with all the other sideshow acts. Honestly, I should at least make an attempt to keep up the somewhat friendly personality I've had the past week. Yeah, this is still the first act. This is like the last segment of the first act. Is Carnival, is what it's called. Which is certainly a name. Maybe get something to eat, my stomach suggests. Yeah, I relate to that. It's almost lunchtime. I could at least grab something from one of the stalls outside. I'm soon outside, surrounded by various students and people who may or may not be their parents. Every so often, I catch a glimpse of someone who clearly just came up from town for the promise of a festival. They're easy to spot. The ones who can't stop staring, and behind their eyes you can tell they're thinking, "Now what's wrong with this one?" I almost want to yell at them. But at the same time, can I deny that I've been doing the same thing all week? A wave of something like disgust sweeps over me, guilt for my own narrow-mindedness. I push the thoughts aside, concentrating on the pangs of hunger that burn my guts like a wildfire. The scent of something fried leads me to the promised land, where I can get some lunch. I'm just getting my order when a loud voice interrupts me. "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" I was almost Kenji, instead of Emmy. Having lunch? Breakfast? You mean you just got up? Suddenly, sleeping all morning feels like a crime. No, I meant lunch. Honest. She's not buying it. Brunch? That's not a healthy breakfast at all. She snatches my food out of my hand and glares at me. What the hell is this girl doing? Hey, that's my breakfast. What happened to it being your lunch? That's my... Whatever, it's my food. Emmy places her hands on her hips and begins lecturing me. Did you really forget about your dietary plan already? You need to be more conscious of your health, Hiseo. What about your heart? My heart's fine the way it is. Mostly. All I get in response is a roll of the eyes. I doubt that. You wouldn't be here if that was the case, would you? The girl's got a point, of course, but I'm not about to concede it. It's not that bad of a heart. Certainly can handle a little grease now and again. Yeah, sure, and it handled a little running just fine, too. Emmy seems unconvinced. Not surprising, as I haven't even managed to convince myself. Maybe, but not if you're sleeping the day away all the time. A devious look suddenly crosses her face. Of course, if you'd been following a routine from the beginning, you wouldn't be in this situation. Hey, I've had a pretty eventful week, you know. Yeah, this should be same scene. For example, I almost died. There was a lot of meeting people, and then I was on a roof for a while. Which is no excuse for slacking off, you know. A little near-death experience is no excuse for skipping basic exercise. Like running in the mornings. She nods, as if something important has just been decided. So it's settled then. You've seen the error of your ways, and are willing to adhere to my routine, right? I'll see you bright and early in the morning. We'll be running buddies. You know, you'd already convinced me yesterday that this was a good idea. You don't need to convince me again. Not that I did a good job of being convinced. She's right about eating healthy, after all. And here I am ordering up something grossly unhealthy. But delicious. There are more important things than deliciousness, aren't there? Like staying alive? If Emmy weren't here browbeating me for my poor decisions, I'd probably... Hey, wait a second. A sudden question springs to mind. Hey, why the hell have you taken such an interest in my well-being? Emmy shrugs and grins at me. You're the new guy. I figure you don't have any friends yet, right? Besides, I've caused you trouble all week, right? I owe you for not getting angry. And I told the nurse I would, anyway. Crazy little running girl wants to make me healthy. Well, I suppose there are worse fates. Okay, that sounds fine. Thanks for your concern. Tomorrow morning, then? I figured that ends the conversation, so I turned to leave. Not so fast! I feel a hand on my collar, and in a second I've been yanked backwards. Hey, no need to be so rough. What do you want now? Emmy looks almost wounded by my annoyed question. Thought you could use the company. Her eyes narrow. Besides, you're just gonna try sneaking some more of that fried crap, weren't you? Well, I wasn't going to, but now that she mentions it, that would have been a really good idea. I was not. Another glare. Okay, maybe I was going to get a little. The glare continues. Okay, a lot. Jesus, I'm a danger to myself and others, aren't I? I get done agreeing that I need to be healthier, and then immediately start considering the next unhealthy habit that comes my way. I knew it! You can't be trusted. Now I definitely have to stick with you. This whole situation feels silly. I can only imagine what passerby think of the sight of me being lectured by a tiny girl half my size. Maybe I should just give up for now. Fine, do what you like. I sigh. Might as well make the best of this. What do you want to do? Emmy thinks for a minute. Well, I promised Rin I'd stop by her mural. So let's do that. I confess I'm slightly curious as to how her mural turned out myself, so again I consider there are worse fates. I give a nod of assent and find myself almost dragged bodily through the crowd as Emmy races to our destination. By the time we reach the dorms, I can feel my heart pounding. My heart shouldn't be pounding after just that. I take a few deep breaths, willing myself to calm down. I'm one of the most normal looking people in the school, but I still have to be here. Sometimes I almost wish I'd lost a hand or something. At least then it'd be obvious that I belong. But instead I don't even look sick. Even now, trying to catch my breath, I just look out of shape. Emmy looks back and notices my state of distress. You're not going to die on me, are you? Please don't. It'll be all my fault, and I don't want to deal with that kind of guilt. Besides, after the last time, I really don't think I need to see that again. Especially because the nurse will totally say it's all my fault. Nah, I'm fine. Guess I need to start running after all. And you wanted to keep eating your greasy... whatever it was. See? It's a good thing I found you, right? Yes, it was. Maybe. Of course, I don't add that I wouldn't be in this state if she hadn't dragged me across the festival grounds. Further conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of Rin. Oh, it's you. Oh. Hello, Emmy. Hey, Rin. I brought Hiseo along because he was going to give himself a heart attack. I was not. My objection goes unnoticed. We stopped by to see how the mural turned out. Rin nods slowly. Well, it's right there. You can see it pretty clearly. I find myself wondering how long Rin's been standing here in front of the mural. Has anyone even stopped by to look at it? Are we the first ones? Obviously, we're not the first to see it, of course. I mean, it's pretty big. You'd be hard-pressed not to see it. At the same time, I don't think anyone's actually talked to Rin about it. Anyone but us, that is. I feel compelled to say something. It looks pretty good. I'm still not happy with how it turned out. But I guess it'll do. She seems almost resigned to it. I'm not sure what she expected as a result, but I guess she didn't quite get there. We stand in front of the mural, taking it all in. I try my best to concentrate on the composition of the thing. It's actually fairly interesting. The colors swoop and blend together, dragging me along with them. There's a dreamlike quality to the whole thing that makes me feel almost sleepy. I try hunting out some of the colors Emmy and I grabbed for her. Try as I might, I can't see any Prussian blue. Oh well. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. My feet start to hurt, but Rin doesn't seem inclined to move on. Emmy speaks up. Hey Rin, have you eaten? Of course. You can't survive otherwise. What about in the past 5 hours? Maybe. But I'm hungry again, so maybe that means I'm wrong. Emmy grins and claps her hands together. Good! Come get food with us. Rin nods in assent. Okay, but we should hurry before they notice I'm gone. Somehow I don't think they'd care. Whoever they are. As we head back to the food stalls, I cast a longing eye over the fried food. No, I'd better not. Pretty sure Emmy wouldn't let me anyway. We find a nice spot on the grass and sit down to eat our purchases. Well, my purchases anyway. Somehow I've wound up paying for all the food. Surprisingly, my unfried food is pretty good. Silence falls as Emmy and I eat, and Rin stares at something or other, occasionally eating a bite or two of her food. I finish my meal first and lay back on the grass. Emmy glances up from her food. Tired, Hiseo? A little, I guess. Well, don't oversleep or anything tomorrow morning. We start our morning runs, remember? Actually, they'd slipped my mind. I was actually just enjoying myself. Wandering around the festival with these two has actually been fun. Yeah, I'll set an alarm. You'd better be there. I'll get angry if you aren't. God forbid. I don't think God comes into it. Unless there's some kind of freak accident and your alarm clock shorts out. That might be a random act of God. Well, don't cause any random acts of God, then. A plan forms itself in my mind. It's a plan that makes me feel kind of guilty, but I throw it into execution anyway. Damn it, I've earned a little fried food. Anyway, I'm going to start running tomorrow, right? So the actual routine all starts then, not now. Ergo, the dietary portion starts tomorrow, too. Ergo, I can have something unhealthy today. A sort of final farewell to all the stuff I used to eat with wild abandon before the hospital. Actually, I suppose I should head back to my room. I had some homework to do, and if I'm gonna run in the morning, I should make it an early night. Those narrowed eyes again. You sure you're not just gonna sneak off and buy some of that fried stuff over there? Nah, I'm too full to bother now. I pat my stomach for emphasis. Besides, you two have cleaned me out anyway. Emmy giggles. It's a surprisingly pleasant sound. Another pang of guilt. She's gotta know that I'm lying to her, doesn't she? Or is she just that trusting? I feel kinda like a monster. All part of my master plan, Hiseo. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Thanks for the food, and for keeping us company. And here I thought she was doing me a favor. Rin nods in agreement. I won't say see you tomorrow, because that would be like predicting the future, and I'm pretty sure I can't do that. Okay. Bye, you two. I feel oddly glad that I decided to leave my room today. Not a bad way to start my second week here, I suppose. Once I'm sure I'm out of Emmy's line of sight, I make a beeline for the food stands and buy some cake. At least it's not fried, right? thanks for stopping by, Zadric. Just glad to have you by. Glad you enjoyed it. You have a great rest of your night. That's slightly better than what I was planning to do. I still feel a little bad about lying to Emmy, though. She really does seem concerned about my health. I'll make it up to her somehow. Better head back to my room. Hey, I do have work to do. My book waits for me, and I flop onto my bed and read through the fireworks display. Eventually, all the walking around, or more accurately running around, catches up with me. I really am out of shape. Emmy dragging me out in the morning to run might just be a good thing after all. It's something to look forward to. And just like that, that's the end of the first act. She is much shorter. God, it's been almost 3 hours. That's crazy. I love these little cutscenes. So that was different than any we've seen so far. Nothing related to the festival, really. There was a short little festival scene, and that was it. But let's go back to the main menu. So, if we go into our extras, well, I don't think we got many new CGs. Yeah, we didn't really get many. Didn't see much for that so far, which is fine. But go to our library, we have a bit more unlocked. We're almost halfway through the scenes. And we've got the start of Emmys. So, and then also, of course, 4 out of 6 cinemas done. So, just like that, that was Act 1 of Emmy's Route. That took so much longer than I was expecting. I thought it would take like 2 hours, something like that. I was not expecting 3. My voice held out though, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, excited to start our 3rd route. We're over halfway done with the actual routes in this game, so not bad. And you can see it's filled in right down there. It's such a cool feature. But yeah, that was the stream for today. Tomorrow might play Minecraft, or I might start Morrowind. I bought Morrowind the other day, and I want to try out Morrowind because I've never actually played it, but I love Dagoth, so I think that would be fun. Hopefully you're all down with that too. That'll be probably fairly later at night, but should be fun. Nice to play through an Elder Scrolls game that's not Skyrim. Anyways, let's wrap this all up. If you enjoyed the stream, please do leave a follow. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube after the fact, please leave a like and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter at AriaOfTheStar. Subscribe to the YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, AriaOfTheStar. I hope you've all had a great time here. I hope you all have a great morning, night, afternoon, evening, wherever it is where you are. I hope you all stay safe, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.